guys, Jennifer here with Edible Sugar Art. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made the decorations for this cake here using poured isomalt and a few different molds and some dried flowers. These are made using agate molds that a lot of people are using for the poured acrylic, making coasters and all sorts of other really pretty decorations, but instead of using poured acrylic and the dried flowers, we are going to be using isomalt. So you may have seen these molds already from some of the acrylic or the resin sites, or also they're similar to the ones with the rocks that everyone was making a while ago. These are just a little bit different style. And then the letters are also made using a mold and pouring the isomalt and flowers into it. So we're going to get to work and I'm going to show you how to make these here. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is we are going to melt down our isomalt. And as you can see here, I use the Semi Cakes isomalt, semi-isomalt. I order mine from Icing Images. I am lucky enough to have them here close by so I can pick stuff up. However, they ship worldwide. And as you can see, the isomalt already comes prepared, so you don't have to do any of the cooking and melting down process. And what I'm going to do is just pour some of those, I'm using the clear, into a silicone container. Then I'm going to place this in the microwave, melt it down. I'm going to do it in 30-second intervals, and then when it's done, then we're going to start with our molds. Alright guys, so we are back. I have melted down the isomalt. It's kind of hard for you to see. I did fill it up before I put it in the microwave, and it shrinks down to about halfway once it's all melted. Definitely make sure that you wear some protective gloves when you do this, because it is really, like right now, this is 300 degrees, 200, yeah, 300, 300.5 degrees. So very, very hot. I did see a post, somebody who'd lost like half the skin on their finger by spilling it the other day. So what I have here is some silicone molds, and I will link where I got these in the description. The place I ordered them from, I can't remember the name right now, but they sent me most of my order correct, but these, they sent a different one than when I ordered. And they sent me two really huge molds that are really nice. I messaged them, and this week they sent out, they didn't even ask for the other ones back, they just instantly sent the new ones. So I was really impressed by how quickly they shipped and got my stuff to me, and didn't question that part of the order was wrong. So that was nice. So I used these ones. These you can see have a rougher edge that makes these here. I also ordered this one, which is more of a flower, and so this is the one we're going to do today on this cake. It is the smaller little one and the larger round one. But we're going to do the flower, which is going to be the exact same design of how I did that, but because I want to use this mold, we're going to do that.
So all I'm doing is pouring a little bit of the isomalt into the mold, and then I'm turning it to make sure it gets in all the corners. And I'm just going to keep turning it, trying to get it into all those spots. It's a little bit different than the circle mold because it does have a few more crevices to make sure you get a nice layer of isomalt on. And as the isomalt cools down, it's a little bit slower to pour. So I'm just going to take my silicone spoon and push it into any of those edges where it's missing. I'm just going to heat the isomalt back up a little bit because it is starting to cool, and I just want to make sure I get all those little spots. Once I have it in all the corners, I'm going to go over it one time with the blowtorch just to make sure I have all the air bubbles out and it gets nice and hot.
I'm going to use some tweezers just to kind of push some of the stuff in. So I'm just going to start picking little pieces of the flowers and then pushing them down to stick in the Isomalt like that. And I have some of these little buds, and I just break the stems off, and then we're just going to place them down face down inside. Give them a little push down. And so it's really random where you want to put these. So you can just be creative, get all sorts of little different dried buds. You can dry, you know, your own flowers yourself, or you can order like I did. I tried to do the whole drying the flower things, and I had like a huge bucket of, I can't remember what that stuff is called, the white stuff that, like, if you drop your phone in, you're supposed to use, that takes some moisture out of everything. And start it up. Now, do not hit your flowers when you do this, or they will burn. Here's a pretty one stuck in here. I tried to dry my own flowers in that white powder that you can dry flowers and stuff out in. It comes in packages, in those little packages. Whenever you get like an electronic, it always has those little things in it. And this is drying quick. Anyhow, the flower drying did not work for me. I really wanted it to. I wanted to be able to do my own thing, but I really like this greenery that they sent. It's great for filling in. Trying not to scorch my Isomalt, but I want it to stick. And this is all just random wherever you would like to place them. However you want to place them in. Once this is done, I'm just going to reheat this back up. It is still liquidy, but it's not quite the consistency that I want to pour. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more Isomalt in there as well. And we'll go heat this up real quick. All right, guys, so this is heated back up, and I am just going to carefully pour the Isomalt over top of all the flowers, and making sure I get into those corners so it's nice and full. And I think that about does it. Going to use my mat to turn that a little bit. So that is completely full. As you can see here, the green is sticking out a little bit on this one, and that is fine. The only thing is, if you go to torch the back of it to remove any air bubbles, anything that's not covered in Isomalt will get a little bit burnt. So when I did the letters, I'll show you these real quick. This is the mold I also ordered, and I created the love letters on it. It is a mold of silicone mold for all the alphabet. And scoot this over, and so I'll show you real quick how I did that. So again, I just took the Isomalt, we'll do maybe later we'll do Mr. and Mrs. And just poured the first layer of Isomalt on the bottom, but only halfway up. And again with this, I did kind of the same thing, just making sure it's in all those corners, so you're not getting any air bubbles or anything like that. And then once that was in, I just took the flowers and did the exact same thing, however they fit. letters were like my favorite part of this. They just came out so cute. I'd really like to try the book version of drying flowers, because the powder stuff I tried, I didn't have success with it. I know it works, but it did not work for me. But I wouldn't have been able to use them on the cake afterwards, because even if they were covered in the Isomalt, it still had that, I don't know how you get that grit, like the whatever the stuff is off of it. So I just dried them. I am going to go try some and try them in books like the old school way. When we were younger, we used to put them in a book and weigh them down and dry our flowers that way. Now, I can't swear that all these are edible flowers that I'm using. Nobody is eating this cake, and even if they were eating the cake itself, they would probably be removing these decorations, and the Isomalt is creating a barrier between the cake and the flowers. So even if they weren't like 100% organic, I think you would be okay as long as they weren't eating them. And then I just pour on the second layer of the Isomalt, and if a little bit gets over, as soon as it's dry, you can break off those little edge pieces. They'll snap clean off. And just want to make sure that I'm getting all the corners. Already drying up on the matte part where you can kind of take off the excess. So this is still not dry. We're going to let that set up a little bit more. I did also use the Isomalt and poured into some little molds just to create some flowers, and then dusted them. I don't know if you can see them with a little gold. I was going to put them up here on the cake around a little bit. I forgot. I came back up and saw them sitting up here. I was like, I forgot to use those, and I like it the way it is. But you can use the Isomalt in any of your silicone molds to make really cool stuff. So some of these flowers I got, these are gorgeous. I can't wait to make more with them. I'll take some closer up pics, but they're just such bright colors. And then this greenery, there's a more mossy one. I didn't use a lot of this mossy one just because it was darker. But this green moss was just gorgeous. This one has some teeny tiny little, oh my gosh, they're so cute, these little teeny tiny blue flowers. They're like maybe less than 1/4 of an inch. So, and then I got these little sticks, and they have like a little fuzz ball on the end of both. I'm not sure what they are in nature, but they're really cute in my box. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry, and when it's finished, we'll unmold it and then torch it again to get the bubbles out on the other side, and I will show you what it looks like.
Just a quick close-up of the little flowers we were using.
So we're gonna see if these are ready to come out. This one has cooled to about just right over 100 degrees. This one's still 130, so we'll give that one a little bit, but this one should be ready, the M. And so to demold it, just kind of stretch the mold off of the sides, and you can see how easy it popped out, just like that. Now, like I said, there may be a few, I got a little bit extra, I don't know if you can see that in the center here, and I can just break that off like that, or on the bottom. So then I'm going to go over the top of it with my blowtorch, and it'll get out any of those final little air bubbles, and just gives it a really nice glossy finish and tidies up those ends if there's any little loose ends and stuff around. And so that is looking perfect, and I'm not going to touch that while it's wet. I'm going to let that go ahead and dry back up, because again, now that it's 187 degrees, with just doing those couple seconds of blowtorch. So definitely want to be careful.
So at this point, if I wanted to bend the Isomalt, it is still warm. If I wanted it to fit curved up against the cake, I did not do this, I left mine flat. However, you can see how easy it is to bend when it's still slightly warm. I'll take it out of the mold and show you a little bit better how it can be flattened back out or bent up a little bit. So for the half ones on the cake, I just took my metal knife, heated it up, and ran it through the middle while it was still soft, before the isomalt had cooled and fully hardened. This allowed me to just break it in half. I'm just breaking off any little extra pieces on the edge and cleaning it up. And then once we're all done, I'm just going to give it a final pass with the blowtorch, and it'll get out any of those extra air bubbles and give it a nice glassy finish.
So once that is dried back up, what we did here was went around the edges, and I just used a little bit of gold poppy paint. You could use your color dust, and I just got a little bit of it, and once it was dry, just brushed around the edges. Some I came over a little bit into the front. I didn't do the letters. I wanted to keep those just clear. I liked these just clear too. So it was like one of those things that I want to paint the edges, did I not? But I decided to, and I like the way it looks.
So when it came time to adhere them to the cake, this cake is fondant. So what I did was just took a little bit of the melted isomalt, and I used my silicone spoon. I picked up a little bit and just wiped it onto the back of the mold, or in this case, our isomalt, and held it onto the fondant until it dried. You could probably do this on buttercream as well, on the lower parts. I'm not so sure how it would hold with the weight up on the top of the tiers. For the letters, we just dip them in the isomalt as well, and then place them on the cake.
In just a second, these will be dry, and I will pick these up and show you how they look. They're still, that's 146. That one's coming down to about 130, 120, different spots. So in a minute, we'll pick these back up and I'll show you how beautiful they look with the clear. If you guys have any certain ways that you like to preserve flowers that works for you, go ahead. There's my knife. I was looking for it. Go ahead and leave me a note in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you dry your flowers. I have so many flowers outside in our garden, and we go on walks and trails and hikes, and I'm always picking stuff, and I would love to be able to dry them out for stuff like this. Especially these little tiny ones, they're just gorgeous. But these I ordered from, I got them from a store on Etsy, Dried Flower Story. They even gave me a little bonus inside. Everything came, when this stuff came from them, it was so well wrapped, you would have thought like precious jewels in there. So this is still, like I said, a little bit bendable, and if you need to torch them again, you can torch them. Bring this up closer, and you can see that. And just by bending it, it's getting a little bit of ripples in there that I could torch back out. But do you see how pretty that is? It is just like glass. And this is, like I said, it's still warm, so I could bend it. But when I set it back down, because I bend it, you can see how it's getting cloudy right there. If you take your blowtorch, it like, and if you can see on there, it makes it right shiny again. It's so pretty. But these came out so nice. And try to push that down so it goes back to that shape. You can see on the cake like how beautiful. Maybe not with the light shot over here. Hey. Had a lighting on the phone, but that would look so pretty up on the cake.
And here is the M You guys, how cute is this? I just absolutely love it. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching and following along. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below and I will try to get back to you. If you do try this project, feel free to share a picture with me either on my Facebook or Instagram. Also, again, this is Simi Isomalts from Simi Cakes. You can find their products at icingimages.com and I will link those below.